Welcome to the TradNurse podcast. This is episode 12. When the gaslighting comes from family, a nurse's guide to surviving betrayal, trauma during the holidays. So, this topic of gaslighting will be an ongoing series. It really does tackle a lot of what's happened in the woke healthcare system. We'll be tackling workplace gaslighting, spousal gaslighting, healthcare gaslighting. Today's topic of familial gaslighting hits home because we have all been targeted by a family member. In my case, my husband, he's since deceased, and his family. I was a victim of their gaslighting for several years, missing family holidays scheduled with my children due to my husband and his sister weaponizing my children against me. Those years were awful, but I learned to protect myself. And so for today's episode, we're going to call our nurse, Sarah. I mean, I've spoken to so many nurses about a form of gaslighting, but today we're going to focus on Sarah's story. So imagine it's Thanksgiving morning. And Sarah has been so excited for the day to spend with her family, her two children, and maybe a small island of peace after years of chaos between her mother and her estranged brother. So Sarah made a plan with her adult daughter to wake up at 7 so that she could shower, they could go to church, and then right from there, they would make the 2-hour trek to grandma's. The daughter agreed. The plan was set. The next morning comes. The daughter's not home. She did not call. She didn't send a text saying, I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm not coming. Anything, nothing. So by 8 a.m., Sarah was calling her mother to say that she might be late and tell her the situation. And then by 11, so they're already 2 hours late driving to her mother's, and the daughter finally came home, but 2 hours late, hungover, rude, defensive, throwing things. I don't know how Sarah did it. I can't tolerate things like that. The right move would have been to not reward the respectful daughter who showed absolutely no remorse about being late, and when confronted on it was a total, you know the word. So she should have been left behind. That should have been a clear boundary. Sarah, it's Thanksgiving. Her heart's already broken. She drives to Thanksgiving tired because she was worried about her daughter. The added stress of the morning was just over the top. They make it there. It's chaos. Dinner was great, and it was great to be there. And you just need a moment to unwind. That never really happened. And Sarah recalls she could feel that weirdness in the room, not coming from her, but from the ambush that Sarah was about to experience. After dinner, Sarah's mother put Sarah's estranged brother on speakerphone. This brother was estranged for a very clear reason. He abandoned and ghosted Sarah a year and a half ago at a time when she most needed him. And Sarah really put a lot of time and friendship and formed a bond with her brother, who had an addiction problem and was not the most reliable person, very manipulative at times. So she was selling her house. She made a deal with her brother that he would get this painting job done so the house could go on the market. And that was the agreement. There wasn't much left to do, but it really needed to be done. So after dinner, Sarah's mom puts the estranged brother on speakerphone. And like I said, he left her in a lurch. He ghosted her at the worst possible moment and in her time of need. And there's a lot more to unpack here because there was also a betrayal by her family that chirped in her brother's ear to take a job with someone else in the family. This didn't need to happen. It was a sabotage, but that's a whole other story. Sarah had no choice but to set a clear boundary. After the ghosting incident, it hurt her terribly. She felt abandoned and betrayed, and she did not need to reward that behavior. The right move was to set a boundary. So I want to make a note here. A single woman should not be treated poorly. If you're doing a job for her, do it with respect. You don't ghost her and then expect to have a relationship. If you had done that to a man who hired you for a job, the repercussions of ghosting somebody would not be nice. So her brother not only ghosted his sister, he ghosted a woman. And to make matters worse, despite Sarah explaining this boundary to her mother on more than one occasion, the mother disrespects the boundary. She doesn't hear Sarah. She doesn't want to hear Sarah. And so here they are at a nice Thanksgiving dinner, and she puts the estranged brother on speakerphone and flaunts him in front of Sarah's children, makes a big show of it, of how wonderful he is, hands the phone to the grandchildren while staring down Sarah like she's the villain for ever having a boundary in the first place. So it's intentional when you see somebody bothered by something that you're doing and you don't back down. So Sarah starts to crack, and she did almost break. Her nervous system goes into full flight or fight mode. Her heart's slamming so hard she can't hear the conversation anymore. Her hands are shaking. She feels the anger rising. She knew she was not in a safe space, and she was going to pass out and did not trust these people to properly care for her in her mental state. So let me pause here. This is very real trauma. Whether it's happened to you or not is not for you to trivialize it. And I want to value those that have gone through betrayal trauma and what it feels like. It is abandonment on steroids. And it doesn't matter what age you are, it hurts. So to continue that trauma at a time when it should have just been focusing on your guests and your daughter and her children that are there, Sarah starts to break. It hurts. She says to her daughter, I am leaving in 10 minutes with or without you, and walks out before collapsing on her mother's floor in front of her own children. The feelings of anger, betrayal, and abandonment were experienced all over again. Sarah left to protect her safety and well-being. If anyone listening has gone through that experience of being gaslit and a narcissist mother who is just thinking about herself and not thinking about Sarah's feelings, you will understand this next step. Instead of seeking comfort or the care of the one going through the reliving of the trauma, the mother instantly goes into the narrative talking points. She's unstable. She ruined Thanksgiving. And she does this in front of the children. This is a psychological attack used to put a wedge between the mother and children. And it doesn't matter if she's aware she's doing this. She is doing it and it is wrong. If any part of this story just made your stomach clench, you are not crazy. You're experiencing betrayal trauma, and the people who are supposed to love you just weaponize the holidays to reopen that wound in you. No, let's take a break here. We are talking about family gaslighting, betrayal trauma, and how to survive the holidays when the very people who are to protect you are the ones holding the knife. This episode is for every nurse who has ever been told you are overreacting. He didn't mean it. Just get over it for the sake of the family. I'm going to walk you through this story, this real story that happened this Thanksgiving, and break down exactly why it hurt so badly, and then give you scripts, strategies, and spiritual armor so it never blindsides you again. So let's go back to Sarah's story. She was ambushed by her mother, who disrespected her boundaries, with her rightfully estranged brother. And the mother forced her to relive her trauma in front of her children. Sarah did not have to explain the boundary she set with her mother and her addict brother to her children. She made it clear to her mother that she was not going to have any contact with her brother. It was Sarah's mother to protect Sarah and her children and respect that boundary, whether she agreed with it or not. The truth of the matter, the whole family disrespected Sarah by encouraging the addict brother to ghost his sister. This was what caused the problem. It's a classic case of create a problem, cause chaos. Sarah and the brother were being used by the family. The brother wasn't strong enough to keep that bond with Sarah, and Sarah was hurt and rightfully did the right thing by setting a boundary with the brother. You can't just keep getting abused by these people. So what was the result? Sarah left Thanksgiving when she felt her body go into fight or flight. She made it very clear she was leaving. She did not need to rehash the trauma right then and there. She made it home safe without psychologically breaking, because that is what they want. She did the right thing. I just want to make it clear. When you feel that in your body, that betrayal, find a safe space. The thing here, there was not one text or phone call from the mother or the uncle who witnessed the breakdown to say, "Are you okay?" And this is how you know who is a loving family member and who is not. Instead, the family goes into what you call happy monkey syndrome and repeats the deflecting talking points in front of the children. Your mom is unstable. She'll never be invited back. If anyone does this to you when you are having a traumatic breakdown, this is a sign these people are setting you up. Let's do a clinical breakdown of this. Here's what actually happened to Sarah's brain and body in that moment. And it's happening to thousands of you right now. 1. Betrayal, trauma, reactivation. The original wound, which was being abandoned when she was most vulnerable, was deliberately triggered in front of her children. That is not drama. That is psychological assault. Number 2, the intent was to isolate the truth teller, which was Sarah. Rewrite her history. Control the narrative, which is the drug addict, estranged brother is good. Run that playbook. Just keep running that playbook. Number 3, the weaponization of the next generation, which is Sarah's children. When they could not control Sarah anymore, they went after her kids with the exact same lies. Your mom is the problem. They tried to paint the picture that Sarah was crazy, mentally unstable for putting a boundary with her drug addict brother. So your goal here is just to remove yourself from having access. It will hurt at first. This is how you protect. They do not support you. They do not care about you. They want to destroy you. And why this hurts nurses the hardest, we spend 12 hours a day advocating for patients who can't advocate for themselves. And then we go home to people who refuse to advocate for us. That cognitive dissonance is brutal, especially during the holiday season. So scripts you can use this holiday season. When someone baits you with an estranged relative, estranged drug addict brother has not made any attempts to improve this relationship. So boundaries need to be kept. The brother did not call Sarah. It had been over a year and a half since this episode. He made no attempts to call her, apologize, anything. Addiction to drugs is not a good thing for your soul. So calm voice, no emotion, just be, I do not do relationships with unrepentant active addiction. Period. I'm happy to step outside if you need to call him, or maybe call him when you don't have me over as a guest. I have told you my boundaries, respect them, or do not invite me over for dinner. And I would also appreciate you if you do not push a relationship with my drug addicted, unrepentant, active addiction brother. That's a script you can use. There's no reason that an addict should be around your children. Number 2, when the flying monkeys come out, these are the people that they're generally close to you, the family, other family members who are more concerned about their ego. They don't care that you just suffered. So when the flying monkeys come out and they're like, oh, I'm so good, I'm so normal, and specifically when they try to text or speak to your children, one text from you to your children, not the flying monkey relatives, just ignore them. You can say something like, Grandma is free to have whatever she wants with Uncle, the estranged brother. I'm not discussing it. I've set my boundaries. I love you, and I'm always here when you have questions. Number 3, when someone says you are ruining my holiday, this is all you say. I'm protecting my peace so I can be the mother my kids deserve the other 364 days. That's not negotiable. And to be honest, it's a deflection on their part because they ruined your holiday. They wanted you to psychologically break. And then number 4, and you just need to be direct. I will never again attend a family gathering where someone who abandoned me is celebrated while I am re-traumatized. My absence is not a tantrum. It's a boundary with a track record. Be firm. So practical survival tips: pre-decide your exit plan, have your keys in your pocket, or don't go to family events. If the behavior will continue because you allow them to tear down your clear boundaries, it might be easier to just avoid family events. Book a hotel or an Airbnb nearby so you're not dependent upon them. If you have any feeling of another ambush, protect yourself. Don't go. Sarah told me ahead of time that she had a feeling something was going to happen. Her mother had not had a real conversation with her in over a year, and she stopped confiding in her and did not trust she had her back, and her instinct was right. And then I would say start your own tradition. Start it immediately. Replace those bad memories, the toxic memories, with a joyful one. Even if it's just with one child or a friend, Chinese takeout on the beach, whatever it is that you have to do, it's okay. I've done this before with the gaslighting and betrayal from my husband. And I'm sorry if any mother is making a daughter relive trauma. This is on her. She knows better and shouldn't be using the kids like that. The other thing that has helped me survive all of this is find a Catholic priest that understands gaslighting and the importance of providing you with a vouchsafe space. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse. It's a form of emotional abuse. It is a form of lying, and is not tolerated in the Catholic Church. And even though it doesn't matter how subtle it is absolutely a form of abuse. So be careful. There's also a lot of liberal priests that gaslight their parishioners with false truths, and then they are committing sins. So don't find one of them. I happen to find a very good parish with really good, strong, traditional priests. So if you're not a Catholic, you find a betrayal trauma-informed therapist or a support group before the next holiday rolls around. The research shows rapid reconnection when people who get it, and that's the single biggest predictor of healing. Remember, you don't owe the family that betrayed you your presence. If they hurt you, and if you're not comfortable, protect yourself. Always put your safety first. And here's a little spiritual fact. Our Lady was betrayed by the people she loved most. Her son was betrayed by one of his chosen 12 apostles. She didn't stay at the foot of the cross begging Judas to love her. She stood in her sorrow, dignified, and let God handle the rest. And you are most definitely allowed to do the same. After this incident happened, Sarah went to Mass and then she went to adoration. She said she spent hours in adoration and it all became clear to her. When you talk to God, He will always give you the answers. So in closing, if you're listening to this and you're crying outside your mother's or mother-in-law's house because the same thing is happening to you, you're not alone. Send this episode to another nurse friend because the antidote to family gaslighting is always the same. It's truth plus witness. We see you. We believe you. And your boundary is sacred and it's protected. So until next time, keep the faith, keep the fight, and never let them make you the villain for refusing to swallow their poison with a smile. I do have to add a little caveat here. It's raw, it's fierce, focusing on breaking the intergenerational curse so your children do not grow up to be the next generation of gaslighters or weaponizers. So the deepest wound for most of us isn't even what they did to us. It's the terror that our own kids will grow up and do the same thing or worse to their children. I refuse to let that happen, and you should too. And here is how we break the cycle so our children never learn to weaponize their grandchildren and never learn to choose an addict over someone telling the truth and never learn that love means ambushing someone on a holiday. It's not that Sarah doesn't love her mother. She does very much. She wishes she still had a strong relationship with her. It's that her mother doesn't love her enough to protect her and to value her boundaries. So here is what we do to break the generational curse so our children don't become gaslighters. 1, name the sin out loud every single time you see it. When your daughter or your son is old enough to understand, you sit them down, you say it's a mortal sin against the 4th commandment to deliberately turn a child against their parent. The grandmother doesn't have authority over the children. The uncle doesn't have authority over the children. The new husband doesn't have authority over the children. The only one that has authority over your children given to you by God is the parent. That's it. And so if you deliberately think that you know better or you're going to somehow step in between, like invite the kids to Thanksgiving, but not the parent, that's wrong. That's your sin. That mother of Sarah committed that sin on Thanksgiving when she put the estranged brother, the uncle of the children, on speakerphone to hurt their mother, Sarah, and then to tell the children Sarah was unstable. Even if it was unintentionally or intentional, that was implied. So you don't want to do that, and never do that to other people's children. And say the words mortal sin, say the words 4th commandment, teach your children. And when you learn to use that language of eternity, it changes them. Model the boundary in real time every time. The next time your grandma tries to love bomb your kids after smearing you, you text your children, not her. You tell your children that you've got them and you enforce it and you leave it and you hang out and you block that mother for as long as you need to, because you don't have to tolerate that behavior. It's abuse. Your children need to know you're the mother with their own eyes, and that the consequence for trying to sever that mother-child bond is awful sin. If you're in a divorce situation, do not demand full custody. Always let the other parent have access to their children. It's the right thing to do. Give your children the vocabulary so they can see it for themselves. Teach them the phrases of triangulation. It's hard in divorce when you have one parent pulling that child or a grandparent pulling that child from the parent. It's manipulation. And try not to participate in it. It's so hard, especially when you're the one that's getting hurt and you're crying and you just don't know what to do. And create a new bloodline tradition that is the complete opposite of the old one. Every Thanksgiving from now on, write your child a letter and just say, I will never choose anyone over you. I will never lie to you to make someone else look good. I will never use you as a weapon. If I ever break this promise, you have my permission to walk over to me and remind me that hurts you. That single tradition rewrites the family DNA in one generation. Pray the binding prayer over your children daily. In the name of Jesus Christ, I bind any spirit of division, triangulation, and generational manipulation that tries to pass through this bloodline. I cover my children with the precious blood, and I place the cross of Christ between them and every person who would use them to hurt me or anyone else. Say it like you mean it. The devil recognizes authority, and a mother's authority over her children is second only to God's. That relationship needs to be protected. Now, in Sarah's case, the mother's acting like a crazy person. She's a narcissist with the new husband. And I think the only way that cycle is going to be broken is if the mother has a heart-to-heart with Sarah and stops putting her in these situations. It's just awful. It's dangerous. So my children will never grow up to become my mother. They will never grow up to become their father. And I'm willing to be the villain in someone else's story so my daughters and sons never have to do this to other people and wonder why the people who were supposed to love them chose cruelty instead. By breaking the cycle, by becoming the mother who leaves the table, leaves the holiday, blocks contact on her phone and social media, who names the sin, who teaches the truth, and who loves her children so fiercely that no one ever dares try to come between them again, that is how we win. Not by fixing the old family, by refusing to hand the poison down to the new one. God bless. Thank you.